Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video turned out to be something completely different from what I first imagined, and the reason for that is art block. I actually wanted to do some comfort stuff, some loose and mindless doodles, using my Ohuhu markers without focusing on the perfect blending, to get used to using them in my sketchbook without putting a lot of effort into it. So I looked up some reference photos of aesthetic food and sketched them out very roughly. But it felt very weird today. Maybe you already know that there are different kinds or reasons for art block. First, there's the creative block, which gives you a hard time to come up with ideas. Then there's the motivational block, where you have ideas but don't feel like drawing. And lastly, there's some kind of technical art block, where you have ideas and motivation, but you can't really execute it very well. There are probably even more, but I think these are the most common ones. The last one is exactly what I experienced today. My sketches are always very messy anyway, but my hands were particularly shaky today and I had a hard time drawing longer consistent lines and neat flat colors. To be completely honest, I was about to give up and turn off the camera, but then I thought, you know what, let's just mess around for a bit. I must admit, it came in very handy that I didn't plan on doing a completely planned out full illustration anyway, which was the reason to keep going. Having a bad drawing day and not feeling good enough can be super frustrating. For me, it's the most common reason to stop drawing and abandon a sketchbook spread. Sometimes I ask myself why I share stuff like that on the internet anyway, but then I try to remind myself of the importance of bad art. Before we go into this any further, I'd like to emphasize that bad art is a very subjective term. In the end, I managed to create a cohesive and somewhat aesthetic sketchbook page. It's the little details and the line quality I know I could do better. I don't want anyone to feel bad when I'm talking about bad art, and I know some of you might even find it beautiful. So please take everything I say with a grain of salt. There are many reasons making bad art can be a good thing. First of all, it's the most effective way to overcome the technical kind of art block. I actually think it's the only thing you can actively do to get out of it. I can't think of anything else except of waiting for a better drawing day, and I don't think that's the right way to go as long as you have some motivation to draw. On a bad drawing day, you should probably draw something that comes easily to you instead of something very far outside of your comfort zone, to avoid getting twice as much of the frustration. But that's just my personal advice. On the other hand, pushing through something you don't feel very comfortable with can also be very rewarding and motivating. If you can do it, great for you. It's just usually not what I prefer doing on those days when I don't feel confident about my art. But if we put the art block issue aside for a bit, bad art and learning something new are closely related. When you draw something you've never drawn before, you probably won't master it on your first try. And even if your first try doesn't turn out bad, it's probably bad compared to your 5th or 10th try. And if we look at it this way, making bad art is necessary in order to make good art eventually. Doesn't that sound motivating? At least for me it does. Making bad art shows you what you don't like about a piece, which helps you to improve in the future. Even the greatest artists you know have made bad art at some point, and they probably still do. Maybe what they call bad art are masterpieces in our eyes, but I hope you get what I mean. bad art can also help you to let loose. When you're not worried about creating a masterpiece anymore, the pressure is gone and you can start playing around, experimenting and trying out new things. You can explore your creativity in new ways and maybe you try out techniques that you love. As you can see, I'm trying out something new too. I almost never use the chisel tips of my alcohol-based markers for anything else than colored backgrounds. This time I used them to add some blocky shapes to the rice. Even though it doesn't match the rest of the page very well, I think it's a fun graphic-y look I enjoyed and consider playing around with more often in the future. If you're having a bad art day too, I hope this motivates you to take it easy and not be so hard on yourself. All artists experience this from time to time, so you're not alone with it. Please let me know your tips and tricks that help you getting out of art block. Maybe it helps me getting out of mine. After I filmed this page, I filled the other side of the spread with more food doodles, and even though I was already warmed up, I still struggled with circular shapes and long straight lines, but I tried to stay positive. As I already said, art is subjective. I showed the spread to some friends later that day, and they indeed found it beautiful. They even made fun of me for saying I had a bad drawing day, but that's just how I felt. In the end, I want to share some general things you can do to get out of art block. The most obvious one is take a break. Sometimes taking a step back from your art helps you to see it with fresh eyes again. I personally oftentimes get inspiration when I'm doing something else I enjoy. Reading a book or watching a series I love often makes me want to do fan art. If you know me a bit, you also know it's World of Warcraft most of the times. Making fan art can be a good tip on its own, when you don't want to take a break. Fan art is fun, you draw something you love and you don't have to make a creative choice because someone else already did it for you. Draw from life. It's not only a good way to overcome art block, it's also a great practice to draw what you see around you. Go somewhere to find new inspiration. Nature is a great source for inspiration. You can take your own reference photos or bring your sketchbook with you. Many artists also keep travel sketchbooks. If that sounds interesting to you, you can look into that too. Study fundamentals. That's probably what I should do now. Going back to the fundamentals every now and then is something every artist should probably do anyway. When you don't have ideas, that's an easy way out of the creative process. And if your execution isn't on point at the moment, well, at least you don't mess up illustrations that mean something to you. Try something new. It can be a new medium or a new subject you want to learn how to draw. I usually pick an animal I find interesting. Fennec foxes are fun, for example. They are so cute and tiny and have those big ears, and they always look as if they are plotting something cheeky. I just love them, can you tell? And my last tip for today is look at other artists' work. Find out what you like about their art and try to incorporate it into your own art. In your own way, don't copy them though. That's everything that comes to my mind right now, but the things you can draw are literally limitless. If you want to hear more about that topic, there's another video on my channel where I talk about art block. I'll link it in the description. And if you're interested in more drawing ideas or tips about overcoming art block, let me know in the comments. I think it's a very huge topic I could talk about all the time. I hope you enjoyed this video so far and that it was helpful or motivating for you. I'm very glad that I didn't give up on this page. In the end, I really like how cohesive it looks and I also love the colors. Even though the line art isn't great, I'm quite happy with the overall look of the page and I'm kind of proud that I showed up. The more I accept bad art, the less I fear the empty spread after all. Now you can watch me draw some strawberries and waffles. It has been enough talking for me today. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you so much for watching till the end, hopefully, and have a wonderful rest of your day.